Perfect. So, I'm James Cocker. I'm a freelance web developer from Edinburgh in Scotland. And today I wanted to give you a quick demo about some shell scripts that I've put together, mainly which help me in my when developing Silverstripe websites. So hopefully there's some things in here which could help you too. Let me make that a bit bigger for you. I've used this opportunity to make these scripts available. So they're on GitHub, if you go to github.com/purplespider, and I've pinned it at the top here. So we'll jump straight in with a scenario that, as Silverstripe developers, you've probably, hopefully all experienced, where you've got a live website and you've got your local development version of the site, but you want to update your local development version of the site with the content from the live version, because it's been a while maybe since you've worked on the site. And so there's a few ways you could currently do that. You could just do it manually. You have to somehow download a dump of the database, export it into your local database, and then grab all the assets from the live one and copy those across. Many of you have probably used SSPack, which is really great. If you've not come across it, it's an official Silverstripe script that allows you to point it at any Silverstripe site, whether it's remote or local, and it will create a single SSPack file that includes a copy of the database and all the assets, and then you can load that into a different version of the site, say your local version. So SSPack is good, but there's a few downsides. For example, you need to do it in a few different steps. First of all, you need to save the remote version into a file, and then you need to run the load command to load it into your local copy. Also, you have to enter in the SSH details as attributes. So if you're doing it multiple times for a site, you're either doing a lot of typing or copy and pasting. But mostly, one of the bigger downsides, especially when you're working on sites that have a lot of assets, if you've got a few gigs of assets up there, is that every time you run SSPack, it creates basically a zip file of all the assets and downloads that whole zip file, even if just one image had changed, for example. And so that was partly what made me seek an alternative solution. So let me demo that for you, if my hotspot is going to hold up. So let's have a look at this website here. This is the live version of the site, live@schoolforceos.com. And here we have got my local development version. And as you can see, we've got some placeholder images still and an old version of the text. So I want to update this local test version to reflect the content on the live website. So I've created this script called SS Download. I'm no good at naming things, so if you've got any cleverer names that could work, do give me a shout. I'll show you the script in action, and then I'll let you know how it works. But literally, all I need to do is open up the project in your editor, and from the root of the site, simply run SS Download. And what will happen if the hotspot is going to work? Come on, you work just, there we go. So it's going to ask for my SSH key. And what this script does is it's going to download only, come on, you can do it. It was much faster than I tried it this morning. So you can see it's removing some of those placeholder images because they don't exist anymore on the live site, and it's downloading the new images that had been uploaded, and it's only doing that. It's only making doing the changes between the two sites. And then what it will do is it will download the database from the live site and load that into the new site. This is running a lot slower than it did this morning. Should be getting there. There we go. Now it's working on the database. And the way it does that, while it's finishing off, you'll notice I didn't give it any SSH details or anything. I literally just entered SS download. And that's because in the root of my sites, I've added this ssdownload.conf file, which has the SSH details there. This is actually a local alias that I'm using on my machine, but you would just put in your IP address of your remote server or the host name. And then as long as you've got valid SSH keys, the script will automatically connect to these details and download all the data in what would have been a few seconds, but that's been over a minute on my hotspot. And hopefully, just like that, by running a single command, we can now go back to our development site, refresh it, and voila, we have got it identical to the live site. It's more impressive when it runs faster. Unfortunately, the Wi-Fi here seems to block SSH connections, which is obviously essential for this. So, yeah, you can see why I created it. Really quickly, you can just run it, and it only downloads the changes. It's really effective on sites that have a lot of assets, and you're only changing a few assets, so you can get going. So to move on to the next one, I should initially explain that I use Laravel Valet as my local development environment. If you've not come across it, basically it installs Nginx and PHP and a few other bits and pieces natively locally on your machine, and makes it really easy to link up virtual host names to folders on your machine to run websites. I like it because it's really fast and pretty straightforward to use. To give you a very, very quick demo of anyone that's not seen it, let's make that big. If I simply make a new directory, let's call it StripeCon EU, my demo from earlier. Let's cd into that, and let's go ahead and just very quickly create a index.php file in there if I've done all this right. So now we've just got literally a directory with an index.php file in it. And so to set that up in Valet, all we need to do is type in Valet link. And what that does, it goes ahead and it creates the virtual host automatically based on the directory name. So if I now jump over to my browser and type in StripeCon EU.test, and there we go, we've got our hello. So that's Valet in a nutshell. The reason I show you that is because these scripts that I'm about to show you use Valet because they're setting up sites. If you don't, I'm sure you could modify them for your own environment. So let's go ahead and show you the new site script. So often I find myself wanting to set up quickly set up a new Silverstripe site, maybe to test a module that I found, or to check if a bug's been fixed in the latest version. And there's a few hoops you have to go through every time you do that, setting it up in Valet in the database and running Composer. So that's why I created this new one, this new script called new site. So you simply run it on the command line. You see all that okay? Ask you what you want the site to be called. This is used for the directory and the database and the URL. So let's call this, I'm just going to be very original again, as I'm not used to, not good at naming things, and call it JC test. Then says, which version of Silverstripe would you like? This is basically the version from for the Composer install command. So I'm just going to hit enter to install the latest. And just like that, what this script will do is it will create a new directory, it will link it up to Laravel Valet, it will set up a database on my local database, it will run Composer to install Silverstripe, then it's going to do a dev build, then it's going to set up an SSL certificate using Valet, which automatically restarts, and here we have, just like that, in one command, a fresh Silverstripe site, opened up not only in the browser, but also in your editor of choice, all ready to jump in and do whatever you were looking to do. So you can see if I even do that, I'm not making it up, that is actually operational. And if I actually jump over to the CMS, and this is a good example, you can see how quick Valet is as a local development, just clicking around in Silverstripe. It's really fast. So I use that for, as I said, quickly spinning up Silverstripe sites to check, try modules, do checks, check bugs. And so quite often I just want to get rid of that when I'm done. So bring in the next script, and it's simply delete site. And what did I call it again? JC test. So running that unlinks it from Valet, deletes the database, deletes the directory, and now it has completely and utterly gone. So our final scenario, I'm going to use this pest control website as for the example. So this is currently live, premiereenvironmentalservices.co.uk. Now, I normally do my development work on my desktop computer at home. So that means that when I'm out and about, I don't necessarily have all my websites ready to edit on my laptop here. So if I was to get a request in from a client to update their website, and that website didn't exist on here, it's always a bit daunting going through that whole, right, let's get it set up locally, let's download the repo, and let's install the database. So, as you can probably guess, I created a script to do that for me. And so, what we will do, this website currently does not exist in any form on this machine. So, I'm literally going to go ahead and clone the repo down from GitHub in my Git client. Obviously, you can do this on the command line if you want. And come on, hotspot. There we go. So let's open that up. Pop it into VS Code. What's happening here? There we go. Right, so here we've got the bare bones of the site. So from here, you would normally have to run composer install and do the database and download the assets and the site. Instead, what we're going to do is open up a terminal and run the command setup site. So this time, again, it asks us what you want it to be called, but you can see it has already picked up the name because it's already looked in the SS download config file, which I showed you before. So I can just hit enter. It's going to ask you to confirm what Silverstripe site it is and what version of PHP the site uses. But then it's just going to go ahead and do everything. So it will set up the site in Valet. It is creating the env file for you. It is running the SS download script that I showed you before to download all the content off the live site. And eventually, we should have the site. But while that's being very slow, let me actually just show you the scripts here. So I've heavily documented all the scripts, so you can have a look, see what the requirements are. If we jump into the setup site script, for example, a lot of the items are configurable, so you can actually specify what the commands are required for your specific connection to your database. You can set up your own config file, which the scripts will use. You can tell it where you want your sites to be in the default PHP versions, even your default admin username and password that are used when you create a new site. This is being particularly slow. So I did these scripts have been developed mainly they're Mac-based. I think with Laravel Valet there is a kind of Windows port. I don't know much about it and how well it actually works. The SS download script doesn't rely on Valet. You can that should pretty much work with any Silverstripe site as long as you've got SSH and SSH connection to it. You should be able to easily get that working yourself. This is annoying. I had 5G earlier. I don't know where that's gone. Right, I'm not going to make you watch through the rest of all those files downloading. But you can take my word for it that once that's eventually finished, literally that's all that's required to get up a website, a Silverstripe site up and running on your local machine in two easy steps. Download the repo, run setup site, and that's it. Oh, we're getting there. It's doing the database. Right, ready for the grand finale. Come on, you can do it. So it uses, I don't think I actually mentioned, the SS download script uses rsync to download only the changed assets. It still then uses the SS pack script to download the database. Because one of the advantages of SS pack is that you're not having to give it any of the database details, it just looks them up in the environment file. And so it's rsync and SSPack that it uses to be able to do that much more efficiently than downloading the whole lot. And there we go, we've got our environmental services.test running locally, finally. Thank you.
Awesome. Really cool. We have a little bit short of time, so what we're going to do is going to have one question, maximum.
You feature requests already when we found on larger sites for corporate clients, and you might want to think about anonymizing the database when you download it. And some variable about
feature request, atomizing the
Interesting.
database.
Well, PRs are open.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you, James.
No worries. Thank you.